checking the forecast, things looking crazy. A storm on the horizon, the pressure is low. Gotta get moving, put on a show. The news is all buzzing, state of alert, but we've got a plan, we're ready to work. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the face. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. See a little fire or a rising flood, we're a well-oiled machine, we're running in the mud. From the city hall meetings to the rescue teams, turning worst-case scenarios into hopeful dreams. We're training the people, stocking the gear, we're the team you can count on when trouble is near. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the face. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. It's more than a job, it's a calling, you see. Prepared for the present and what's yet to be. Every second counts, we're ready to react for our communities. We're making an impact. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the face. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. Yeah, we're picking you up, we're ready to go. Let's get this show on the road.
I say, guys, let's get this show on the road. What do you say? Should we do it right now? I think we should. My name's Ron Tyler. I'm the president of Emergency Management Associates, and we're on the air with you. We're on the air here, live from the area command here in North Carolina, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Guys, we welcome you here. We want you to be here. We thank you for being here as well. Thank you very much, guys. It's fun. This is going to be a fun day. It's also going to give you a lot of information that you need to know about what's going on in your neck of the woods, as Al Roker would have to say. Now, we have a lot of things we need to talk about. Quite a few things we need to bring forward. Now, why is that? Because most of the time, we don't even get told about it until it's way too late. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. Now, I want to go over to a case that happened yesterday morning after 9:30. We did not even find out about it until yesterday evening after we were off the air. This happened at yesterday morning after 9:30 a.m. A train derailment in Connecticut. After that, I talked with Connecticut officials, and I've been in constant communications with their emergency management office in Connecticut. And in fact, in several different places in Connecticut. Now, this is something that needs to come forward. They need to go and make sure we have the information all over the United States, because this could affect everybody. This could literally affect everybody. Let me show you this news conference that was held yesterday at 9:30, and then I have my own remarks after that. right.
All right. So I guess good afternoon. For the record, my name is John Roach. Last name spelled R-O-A-C-H-E. I'm the fire chief here in town of Mansfield. So at approximately 9:05 this morning, we were notified by 911 to the dispatch center that there was a possible freight train derailment here in town. The rail line that we have going through town is the New England Central line. They were running freight, no passengers. They did have a train that came off the tracks just up the road a little ways in front of 1090 Stafford Road, which is Route 32 here in Mansfield. Crews have been on scene to establish what happened. We're still investigating, but at this point in time, it appears that 14 of the cars came off the tracks. The freight cars that were carrying, some were general goods. There were some cars that were carrying liquefied natural gas, and there were also some cars carrying some grease, food-grade grease that came off the tracks. It appears that primarily the liquid propane, some of those cars did roll over, but they does not appear to have any breaches with those vehicles, those vessels in it at this point in time. We're also still assessing the integrity of the other cars on the train. So we've had hazmat teams on scene from both Yukon, Mansfield, and the Sarrett regional team out of Region 4. And so they've gone out there, they've got air monitoring in place. They have not detected any flammable liquids or any flammable leaks from any of the train cars. Out of an abundance of precaution, we have implemented protect in place recommendation for the residents in those areas, but basically between 275 and Route 44, those houses and those in the area, to just kind of remain in place, windows closed at this point in time. And while we do have the road closed and we're continuing to assess the situation, we've got teams continuing right now to get in there, do some air monitoring, and they're trying to get some better pictures right now of exactly of each individual tank car to see, make sure there's not any breaches or any leaks at this point in time. Next over, I'm just going to hand over to Adam Libros, who is the town's fire marshal and emergency management director.
And Adam Libros, L-I-B-R-O-S, Mansfield, the emergency management director, here to assist with the coordination of resources, locally and state resources. We have both on scene. Fortunately, with the lack of a leak, we didn't have to do any evacuations. We are monitoring the situation. If we do have to do any evacuations, we will send out notices through the emergency notification system. And I'll turn over to Ryan Aylesworth, the town manager.
Ryan Aylesworth, town manager. Last name is A-Y-L-E-S-W-O-R-T-H. Obviously, this is a very serious event in town, and can't stress enough the importance and value of our mutual aid partners locally, regionally, and statewide. We're monitoring the situation very closely. From the town standpoint, we've been trying to put out accurate and up-to-date, timely and thorough information to all our residents. Obviously, those in the immediate area that are within the half-mile shelter-in-place radius, and we'll be updating that information as needed. I understand that earlier in the day there was some information that was shared that the time was inaccurate. There is not an evacuation order in place, and so we are trying to make sure that the public knows that there is no evacuation order right now. We greatly appreciate the level of response, timely response from our partners. We are blessed with natural resources in this community that we want to safeguard, and certainly hazardous waste, potential hazardous waste spill is of serious concern. Fortunately, right now it appears that the situation is under control, and the public health and safety is being maintained. So we will continue to push out thorough, updated information to our public and make sure that everybody understands what's going on and keep the public safe. Out of abundance of caution, I am going to be issuing a local emergency order, a declaration of emergency, later today. And we will be activating our virtual emergency operations center, again, out of an abundance of caution to make sure that information and resources are being deployed to our residents at this time. And I'll turn things over to the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection.
Good afternoon, Rich Scalora, Department of Energy Environmental Protection Emergency Response Unit. As everybody prior to me has said, we're here out of an abundance of caution, first and foremost for the environment around the derailment. There is a surface water body there, both the Willimantic River and Eagle Lake. So our concern is if there were to be an incidental release, we want to be ahead of that to make sure that we can keep it out of that water body. As the chief said, we're working with the regional and the local hazmat teams. My staff are out there right now working on some of the rail cars to assure that we don't have any releases, and we're going to continue in this position until all the rail cars are back on their wheels and safely removed from the area.
Okay, guys, I'm not going to let this commercial go. I'm going to turn off the audio here for just a second until we get past it, and then we'll continue on with this news conference. This is very important information. That's why we're putting it out.
I guess we'll open up to any questions anybody might have. Sure.
Hi, with NBC, thank you for your time. So just for clarity, we've been hearing from the state 14, 13, now we've heard 10. Are we going with 14? And if so, which agency should we be getting that information?
Yeah, so it looks like the cars, not all of them came, some are like partially on the track, some are off on the side. So from a distance, when we look at from a binocular street view, that's where you're going to get like there are probably 6 or 7 that are clearly over on their sides and off the tracks. There are a couple more that are on the tracks in different stages, and so that's why the 13, 14 number is going to be there. It's really going to be primarily there's the 6 cars that we're really worried about right now, were the liquid natural gas cars that were on their side off the tracks completely.
And how many cars were in the train in total?
I don't have the total number.
Total number. We'll have to get that for you.
And then how long are you guys expecting this cleanup or recovery effort to take?
Be honest, probably gonna be a couple of days, because where it is it's just behind some farmlands and some fields, and between that and the river. So they're gonna have to probably make almost like a roadway to get in at the site, and then once we get in there and get access to the site, stabilizing, they're gonna need to get cranes and heavy equipment in there. So it's not gonna be a today operation. We're definitely taking it slow and methodical. The rail company is on site. They've got representatives on site. They're starting to think about what they need for resources. But reality is they're going to need to get some cranes in there. So it's going to take some time.
Do we know, sorry, I walked in late, Chief, but do we know, there's no evacuation, there was a shelter in place?
Shelter in place, that's all.
And it's not going to, you don't think it's going to extend to an evacuation?
At this time, we don't have any reason to believe that. Again, this was out of an abundance of caution. God forbid if something starts leaking, then things might change. But at this point in time, we don't see any need for that.
And what can you share about any information you have about the cause? Like, I don't know how this works, but speed, I know trains go fast, ice, conditions, what can you share about that?
That is too soon to tell for that, and that's really, DOT does have their rail division on site, so they're going to be helping with some of that investigation as well as working with the rail company on figuring out what might have happened and what might have caused this.
Do you know where the origin and destination, where the train was going?
I don't know offhand. I know the train was southbound, so I don't know exactly where they were coming, where they were heading for.
How about the operator of the train or anyone on board?
Yeah. So they did have a conductor and an engineer on the train. They had noticed it immediately. They also were part of the ones that called 911. They've been able to stabilize the other vehicles or other cars that were not involved with this. They've been able to lock it, secure it, and they're still on scene helping with manifests and giving us some of that information of what was involved on those cars.
Nobody injured?
Nobody's injured on that.
And you mentioned the windows, keeping them closed. Just to explain to people, what's sort of the purpose of that? I know it's out of an abundance of caution. Like, what is sort of the caution there?
So what we're worried about is the liquid natural gas that's on these cars is non-odorized. So normally you think you get a gas leak, you'd smell it. These cars don't have that odorant. That mercaptan hasn't been added yet. So naturally, the natural gas doesn't have any odor. So our fear was if there was a leak, you might not smell it in your house. So just out of an abundance of caution right now, we were just telling people, just close your windows, stay inside for right now. Right now we haven't found any leaks. All our meters are reading 0, but that was just kind of as an abundance of caution. We're telling everybody that. We're hoping that maybe over the course of the next couple of days we can, or several hours, we can amend that.
For the expansive roadblocks, how long is that going to last? Is it going to go through commute later today?
That'll definitely be through the commute later today. So 32, what's that?
No.
Sorry. So, yeah, Route 32 is going to be closed from Route 275 here up to Route 44, probably at least for the rest of today. And then it's going to be a matter of how much of that operation does the rail company, can they do off-road versus do they still need access in and off that road? So.
And for those 6 cars in the water, if you said that correctly, what does that recovery look like? What are you guys doing with the water? Can you just explain a little bit more about what that's like?
Yeah, so there are 6 cars on the side, 4 are actually in the water some way, shape, or form. Not all of them are in the water. Right now, nothing seems to be leaking. We do have hazmat booms and precautions out and in place. So we did that again as an abundance of caution, so that way, if there was anything, we do have the materials. We've staged a bunch of materials in and around the area. So if we find that there is a leak or we need to, we can deploy those resources. Right now, we don't seem to have an immediate need to go and do any of that stuff, but we are working with DEP and the rail company to figure out at what point how they're going to handle each car. Each car is going to be a little different, and they're discussing right now. They're still doing an evaluation. Do they take the product off, or do they move the car intact? So, and that's really going to be consultation with the train company.
Just for clarification, the 6 liquid propane gas cars, they're not liquid natural gas.
Sorry.
They're LPG, liquid propane, and 4 of those cars are the ones that are in the water. And we have requested through the train company, and they were working on it prior to our requesting it, that they bring an environmental contractor on board, again, as an over precautionary measure to put containment boom and or sorbent boom in the water, so that if there were a release while we're doing this upright operation, whenever that may happen, that if something were to go wrong, we're ahead of it, and we're going to protect that natural resource.
Rich, how far are we right now as the crow flies from the actual incident?
Chief, are we a half a mile and a 3/4?
3/4 of a mile?
3/4 of a mile. Yeah. And it's,
I mean, we're right at kind of at that half-mile radius.
and it's down in a low valley. You know, there's 2 opposing hills on both sides. So, you know, with the propane gas being heavier than air, that's a good thing for us. It's working in our favor, and we want to keep it that way. There is no releases right now, and we're going to continue that air monitoring so that we can, you know, inform everybody. As the chief said, it's unodorized. You're not going to smell it. There is no detecting factor in that gas yet. So we're going to do continuous monitoring as long as it takes, as many days, whatever the time frame is, and that's going to be dependent on the train company and their recovery operations.
And what kind of conditions did you guys notice, like on the rail, that maybe could have caused the drill?
We're not even looking at that. That's outside of our scope of work, and we're going to leave that up to the experts that deal with that.
Being a mile and a half away, what can you tell us in terms of what it looks like down there, what your crews are doing personnel, and if there's any slippage? We've seen, you know, cars with sand, and we've seen multiple emergency units with their lights on. Like, it's urgent getting down there. Is there any?
So it is a large field, a farmer's field. He was gracious enough to plow that path for us to gain access to the train. The conditions they're brutal. It's cold. There's snow. We're working around metal that's not in the form and shape that it's normally going down the train tracks on. So it's brutal conditions, and we also have that river with the cold temperatures and the crews working close to that river. You know, one slip and you end up in the water, and that's a bad situation. So they're unfavorable conditions that the crews are working through, and we're lucky that we have sufficient staff right now to continue this operation for the unforeseen future.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. In the next, it's another 4 minutes here, but I'm deciding not to play that last 4 minutes because there's nothing new there. Now, again, this train derailment happened just after 9 a.m. yesterday morning. Okay, I didn't hear about it until yesterday evening. Okay, I immediately got hold of Connecticut emergency management officials. I'm now in constant contact. We may get a telephone call from Connecticut incoming to me, or I may call them after I get off the program. But needless to say, this is an ongoing issue. Okay, this train was off the road, off the rails in Connecticut, right beside a river. Again, as this gentleman pointed out, a farmer had to plow a area, a road into the crash site. They didn't have any roadway or any other access into it. The farmer had to plow an area into there so they could gain access to the crash site. They're also going to have to bring in heavy machinery, cranes and such, to lift those rail cars back off the river, off the side of the river, and back onto the tracks. Now, there's another issue that everybody needs to know about. Okay? That's another issue. Let's talk about this. Okay? The issue is this, as he said, there's some cars, some metal is not in the shape that it was in when it was going down the rails. Okay? Train cars, steel, twisted. Okay? The force of a railway derailment is unreal, guys. The forces there are incredible. Okay? As a result, steel is no longer in the same shape it was before it left the tracks. They're not only going to have to bring in cranes, but they may have to bring in great big huge semi-trailers, flatbed trailers, and maybe lift those train cars onto the flatbed trailers and haul them off down the road. Okay? They may not be suitable to go back down the tracks. Okay? This is a real mess. Okay? They thought yesterday evening, that they might be able to get this whole wreckage cleaned up in the next day or so. Now they're going to be taking at least all weekend long. This may continue into next Monday as well. Okay? Yes, they've been having some snow when that railway accident happened. They may still have some snow this weekend. Okay? Snow's in the forecast. The area is bitter cold. Temperatures at freezing or below freezing. The water there is ripe for ice cold water. As the gentleman said, one slip of anyone in that muddy area could lead to them going into the water, which would be almost instant freezing, and they might have hypothermia or worse. They would have to be transported to the hospital to be determined whether their treatment needs to go or not. Okay, this is ongoing investigation. Okay, the National Transportation Safety Board is also on the scene. Now, the National Railway Transportation Board is also on the scene. Okay, there is a National Railway Transportation Safety Board. Besides the Department of Transportation, they're on the scene as well. Okay, this is going to be ongoing. Okay, now whether they actually begin to take the cars out of the water or not immediately remains to be seen. Okay, today I've not heard of anything that would lead me to believe that they are even lifting cars out of the water. They're there. They're going to be there for a little while. Okay. Now, as of today, there is only one car that's leaking fluid from the car, and it's not the propane tanker. The propane tankers are in the water, partially in the water, and the one car that is leaking household grease. Household grease, guys. Grease like you'd see in a fryer, grease like you'd see in a pan on the stove. That tanker is full of household grease. It has been leaking. And not just that. They've also been controlling the release of those chemicals from that grease. Okay? They're doing their best to control it. Now, as we saw over in Ohio, just happens to be that when railway accidents happen, there's water also involved. Almost always, not always, but almost always, unfortunately. Okay. Now, these railways are often inspected at least once a month. Okay. They send inspection teams up and down the rails at least once a month, sometimes more depending on the situation. Now, in this case, the train rails were near the river. Okay. The water in the river contributes to water seepage into the soil near the tracks. This may have also had an impact on these railway rails. Okay. The roadbed may not have been as stable as they once thought it was. Okay, that's the other issue. But this is, like I said, going to be an ongoing investigation for some time. I've got some pictures I want to show you as well. Okay. Now be advised, some of these pictures are graphic. They're not going to show humans mutilated or anything like this, but they are somewhat graphic. I want to point that out before we even get started here. Okay. Like this. Look at that. Here you can see right beside the rail car, okay, you can see the wheels to the car, okay? These are very common. The car is not completely hooked up to the wheels, the wheel assembly. The car is so heavy that it is thought that that car will stay on the wheel assembly as long as it's going down the rails. Okay. As you can see, the wheel assembly is not on the rails at all. Up going forward from this picture in the background, you can see wheel assemblies laying sideways in the track. Okay. That's what happens. That's what happens when we have a derailment. Okay. I am very fond of trains, as most of you know. Okay. Look at this. This is just one of the train cars, liquid propane cars in the river. Slid off the tracks and one part of the car is in the river. Here, a firefighter from Mansfield, Connecticut Fire Department is standing on or near the tracks watching what is going on. There are people right next to the car analyzing what has happened to the car to see if it is in any danger of leaking. That was a first and foremost thought of how to prevent an environmental disaster. Okay, they first inspect the cars and make sure they're not leaking. Next, this, okay? Let me enlarge it so you can truly see what we're seeing, what we're looking at. This is one of those railway car inspection cars, okay? It goes down the tracks, on the tracks, and inspects the tracks, okay? This railway inspection car is going to go down the tracks on either side of where the train was to see what may have been causing the derailment, okay? The derailment didn't just happen at the place where the cars derailed. It might have started before that, okay? There are about 100 different people involved here. You don't see them all, but there are at least 100 people here on the scene going through what happened here. That's normal. As I said before, a farmer had to plow a roadway in to the crash site to get heavy machinery in, trucks and cranes into this area to lift these cars off out of the river and off the ground next to the train. Okay, they may be putting these cars back on the rail. They may be putting these cars back on the rail, but not necessarily. Like I said before, because the metal is heavily twisted, they may have to lift these cars and put them on a flatbed and try to get them out of the river, try to get them off the property here and take them to where they can be emptied. And they're going to have to siphon the liquid propane gas or natural gas out of the cars and into a storage tank. That's a process. The process takes time. Okay. Now with this, there's something else everybody needs to know. It's not necessarily the idea that they can just pick up these cars and haul them out and siphon liquid natural gas or propane out of the car. Okay? What happens when you lift the car? There may be another accident. Another accident caused environmental accident. Okay? While they're lifting the car, something could happen where a leak happens then. Okay? They don't know exactly what's going to happen here. They have to be very careful. Experts have to be brought in to handle this. The railway has experts in the field. The National Transportation Board has experts in the field. And the railway department handling accidents of trains all throughout the United States has accident members, investigators there that are going to get here, and they have experience analyzing accidents involving even these kind of liquid propane cars or gas cars and how they're going to handle things. Okay, I'm not an expert on that. I love trains. I have a background in trains. Okay, my grandfather worked for the railroad. One grandfather was a welder, welding parts for the train, welding pieces of train cars together. The other grandfather worked as an engineer for Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe, in San Diego. My dad's father worked for the railroad over in Pocatello, Idaho, Union Pacific. Okay, have a background. I was a railway cop myself. I rode trains. I've ridden trains most of my adult life, off and on most of my adult life. So I'm very familiar with that. Okay, now, guys, what happens here? What happens here? We don't know. Nobody knows. This is just the beginning of the accident investigation. This is only the beginning. I don't even believe yesterday they even had a chance to even start the investigation. I think the start of the investigation was today. Yesterday was looking at what happened, where it happened, and make sure nothing was leaking. Now again, at the press conference yesterday afternoon, they didn't even think that they had anything leaking. That came out late last night. That gas car that had waste from Greece was leaking in the river. They got onto it immediately, and now they're preventing any other environmental damage in that river. Do we have any comments or questions about this? I'll be happy to take any comments or questions about anything here. Hurricane Hez says, don't fall in that water means almost instant death. Yes, the temperatures in that water are very cold. As you can see, there is ice and snow on the side of the river. Not good. Not good at all. The temperatures in that river are probably about 28 to 19 degrees, somewhere in that area, between 19 and 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit. Do we have any questions here? Renee Steffi says she had a train derailed over in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, when she worked for the railway. When I first saw that, Renee, I honestly thought that was Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Yeah, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. That's north of Denver, by the way. North of Denver. One of my dearest friends worked for them. Any questions? Okay, I guess we don't have any questions about this. There's something else I want to talk about here. Okay? Many children are on the internet. A lot of children on the internet. There's internet gaming going on constantly 24/7. Children as young as 5 or 6 are on the internet playing games. There's a popular game called Roblox, Roblox, Roblox. A very dangerous site. Okay? I would recommend, and I would not let any of my grandkids even go there. When my daughters supervised her daughter playing Roblox, her daughter was 5 years old. My grandchild is now 7 years old. Okay? Her mother was supervising her daughter on Roblox. A lot of people happen to be on Roblox, even adults. Okay? But guys, what I'm going to show you now is very bad. Very, very bad. Adults need to supervise their children on any internet game, including Roblox. This is mandatory. Do not let your children play any internet game without supervision, direct supervision by you, the parents. Do that. This is important. I'm going to show you why it's important. Here's a news report about this particular situation from CBS News. This is important. Please pay strict attention to this.
2 girls on the Treasure Coast are now home safe after deputies say they were abducted in Martin County.
Investigators say the suspect first contacted them on the popular gaming platform Roblox before traveling more than 1,500 miles to meet them.
2 sisters now back home safe in their small Florida town. Martin County Sheriff John Budenseek says it was a multi-agency search for the 12 and 15-year-old girls that crossed state lines. It began when the family reported the girls missing after not coming back from this park in Indiantown Saturday night.
We were dealing with a type of abduction. I know these girls went willingly, but their age suggested that they had been taken.
Detectives say the sisters got into 19-year-old Sir Moulasse's car despite not having their phones on them. They say he'd been grooming the girls for months, talking with them through the Roblox app and then through Snapchat.
There was romantic conversation, again, nothing sexually explicit that we found yet.
Sheriff Budenseek says Lasse drove from Omaha, Nebraska to Big Mound Park to meet up with the sisters. This surveillance image shows the suspect at the Circle K gas station in Indiantown just hours earlier.
He took a picture of himself inside of the Circle K store in Indiantown in the morning. That allowed us to start working, backtracking his movements. It allowed us to identify a car.
Just after 10 a.m. Sunday, Georgia troopers found and stopped Lasse's car with the 2 sisters inside. He's now facing charges for kidnapping.
In this case, I think we prevented something disastrous. Do I know it was going to happen? No, none of us do. Had we not found those girls in a timely manner, had everybody here not kicked in the gear and found those girls, these girls would be at least in Omaha, Nebraska, missing.
The sheriff is reminding parents to keep a close eye on your kids' activity online and talk with them about the risks on platforms like Roblox. The suspect is expected to be extradited from Georgia back to Martin County by the end of the week.
Make it a habit.
Now, guys, this is important. This is very important. Watch what your kids are doing. Don't just allow them to go online and play a game. Don't allow them to just go online and play a game. That's not good. That's not good at all. Okay? Now, I am a strict disciplinarian when it comes to children. I worked in law enforcement for 24 years. 24 years, guys. I saw children taken advantage of. I've seen children abused in all kinds of ways. We want to try to prevent this. Child abuse is preventable. Child abuse is preventable, guys. I'm here to tell you that. It's preventable. But you and I first need to make our points known. Supervision by parents, supervision by adults will prevent most abuse. Okay? Don't let it happen. Hurricane Heather says all chatting on games has got to be heard. You must be able to hear what's going on. It's not just audio chatting either. Watch their keystrokes. Watch their chatting. Make sure it's within standards. Okay? Make sure all chatting is within standards. Set applicable standards. Okay? These girls, 12 and 13 years old, had no clue. They themselves had no clue. And when this man that they had been chatting with, who knows if those girls even knew how old he was. But he drove 1,500 miles from Nebraska to Florida to kidnap them. That's what he did. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. You and I, as parents, are the first blockade. We can stop it. We can stop probably 99% of it. We must know about it. We're not going to find out about it by just sitting in a chair in a room near the children or in another room. We need to be right next to them, watching keystrokes, watching and finding out whether they're chatting with anybody that might be suspicious. If they're chatting with someone that's suspicious, guess what? You need to make screenshots of the conversations. Make key screenshots of the conversations. If you are technically able to, get IP addresses. Sometimes you can get IP addresses of those people your children are contacting. That way you can make sure who they are. You can go through proper authorities, through the police department, and check IP addresses and see who those people are. You're going to have to protect your children, guys. This is important.
Tanimbar region, Indonesia.
This is very important. Indonesia just had another earthquake. I silenced my device. This is very important. I'm putting this out here because I want everybody to realize what's going on. We're here to protect our families and protect our children especially. That's what Emergency Management Associates is. We are an organization of preparedness. We talk about instances where something happens. We want to talk about it because we want to be aware of it. It does happen. But you and I can try to prevent most accidents. Most accidents. And yes, this was an accident waiting to happen. Real bad guy. Got hold of two young girls, two minors that had no clue what they were getting into. They got into an unknown person's vehicle. As I have told my children and many other adults in meetings throughout this nation, tell your children not to get in a car where they don't know who the people are that are driving. Do not get in any car unless they know the people who are driving. If they don't know the people, run, scream, holler, get somebody's attention, make it known, run, guys. That's what your children need to do, is run and make as much noise as possible. That way the suspect or suspects, multiple, are going to get scared and just leave. Hopefully that's the case. Not all cases, but hopefully that's the case. Please do that. This is a very alarming situation. It's not the first time. That's why we're talking about it here. Yes, this constitutes an emergency. Fortunately, two girls are still alive because the sheriff in that area got on top of it right then. The sheriff and his people got on top of it right then. That's very fortunate. Okay, so please, guys, please monitor your children on these internet games. Okay? I get all kinds of things that happen. I've seen it all. I've seen chats going on where people ask me to invite them as friends. Rarely ever do I ever do it. I conduct my own quick investigation. If there's any doubt in my mind, I block them. I block them right off the start. That's what we need to do to protect ourselves and our families. Do we have any questions here? I know during this time period, the last 4 or 5 minutes, when we've been talking about these internet gaming, we had up to 32 people watching this program, and all of a sudden it dropped to 25. That means a lot of people don't even give a darn. That's sad. A lot of people don't even give a darn. Oh, let our kids get kidnapped. Let our kids be talking about things they shouldn't be talking about or even know about. That's a pretty sad state of affairs. Unreal. Unfrickin' real. Now, I want to go and talk about solar flares, and then we're going to be talking about volcanoes, earthquakes at volcanoes. Okay, yesterday was the 5th. This is a screenshot of a solar flare, 4366 sunspot. Sunspot 4366 has been erupting. Solar flares, C-class flares, S-class flares, M-class, and X4.2. There were 4 X-class flares yesterday, 6 X-class flares the day before that from the same sunspot. Sunspot 4366 is now in the center of the sun, and every time it erupts, it is sending plasma radiation out towards the Earth and other planets between here and the Earth, here in the sun, and on the other side of the Earth as well. Okay? When the plasma radiation hits the sun, it goes like this. Okay, the plasma radiation comes from the sun, hits Earth or planets like this, envelopes the Earth like this. The Earth side facing the sun is getting the most plasma radiation because it's hitting right there. But the plasma radiation envelopes the Earth or any planet just like this. Okay? It's still hitting. Today we have not had any X-class flares at all. Fortunately. We also have other sunspots rotating in to Earth side facing. Okay? This sunspot is still Earth facing. Okay? It may still launch out a lot of solar flares, possibly even another X. Okay? Some of these flares are still heading to the Earth right now as we speak. Okay? The X-ray portion of the flares already hit the Earth. Within 2 or 3 hours after the first flare, X-class flare hits, being launches out into space. The X-ray portion of that flare hits the Earth within 2 to 3 hours. The rest of the plasma radiation takes about 2 to 3 days. Like I said, 4 different flares launched from the sun yesterday, X-class flares. These are very dangerous flares. The plasma radiation interrupts radio communications. Paramedics, fire, police, ham radio, aircraft control towers to planes, space to ground communications between Roscosmos and NASA to the space station. NASA communicating with satellites and other companies communicating with satellites that orbit the Earth. Radio communications are disrupted. Okay? But more importantly, these solar flares hit the Earth and it also interrupts our lives. A lot of people don't realize what that means. Okay? Solar flares can have an impact on you and I, mentally and physically. They can make us feel dizzy. They can make us feel nauseous, make us feel ill in all possible ways. All animals, all plant life are affected by solar radiation. Okay? I want to put that out. One other thing that we've talked about in the past is this. The solar flare plasma radiation also affects earthquakes, affects tectonic plates and faults. They affect tectonic plates. All the plates around the Earth are affected. All the fault lines all around the Earth are affected. That is one reason we've had numerous magnitude 6.0 earthquakes and larger. Yes, we have our share of large 5.0, 5.9 earthquakes. We've also had quite a few 6.0 and larger quakes as well. When we have these X-class flares, it doesn't matter whether it's even M-class, M-class, R-class, S-class, X-class. All these flares can have an impact on the Earth. The plasma radiation hits the Earth like this. Hits the Earth, Earth facing first. Then it envelopes the Earth like this. But it's not just that. When the plasma radiation hits the Earth, it goes in through the atmosphere, doesn't it? Also heats up the atmosphere. The plasma radiation can also cause a grid down situation almost anywhere. We just got through having an X8 class flare this week, 2 days ago. An X8 class flare, okay? That could be a Carrington event flare. That could have been a Carrington event flare. Okay? I'm not saying the Carrington event back in I think it was 1886, was an X class 8. I don't know that. It may be an even larger. But an X class 8 flare can mean a grid down situation someplace. Okay? Can fry electrical lines, can fry electrical substations, or even greater, fry the originator from the electricity. Similar to the geysers in Northern California, or Reno, the Coza volcanic field in the Mojave Desert, or even down the Salton Sea. Anywhere there's an electrical station, the plasma radiation, when it hits the Earth, can fry the electrical lines or even fry some of the equipment. Okay? Beautiful girl says she's thankful that we're talking about this. She's been wondering about it. A lot of people wonder about it. We've been talking about this for years now. I want to make everybody aware that this has happened. We've had multiple X-class flares, which is some of the most dangerous solar flares that we can have. Multiple of them. I would say now we've had nearly 10 X-class flares already this week. We're only Friday now. They continue to happen even during this weekend. They might continue to happen even during this weekend, where other sunspots rotating in the view of the Earth as we orbit the sun, more sunspots can come into view that can also launch these great big huge solar flares. We're not out of the woods at all. And right now we are in what they call a solar maximum. 2.5 years ago, we began a solar maximum. The solar dynamics last about 11 years. Solar minimum lasts 11 years. A solar maximum also lasts 11 years. We're just in the beginning of the 11-year cycle. Okay? Solar maximum could mean we're going to see these major solar flares happen. Yes, even during solar minimums, we could also see these solar flares happen, but it's less likely. It is less likely. Okay? I want to tell you about this because these also can cause earthquakes, and we're not out of the woods about that at all. Not out of the woods at all about that. Now, I want to go and take a look at the USGS map real quickly. Then we'll look at the volcanoes. Okay? Let's go to the USGS map. I'm going to take down our webcam. I'm also going to take down our EMA banner here. Okay? Let's bring up the USGS map here. Now, as you can see, it looks to be that we've had some large earthquakes in Chile. We have. We definitely have. Over here near the coastal areas of Tarapacá, Chile. Okay? This is a 4.4 moderate earthquake. Okay? Tirana, Chile. This was a larger earthquake. This is a 5.0. The other was an aftershock. This 5.0 hit last night. This hit last night. Now, the USGS never shows us all the earthquakes that are hitting. They never do. They never have. USGS, as of the last 2 to 3 years, has probably been one of the most dishonest agencies of the government. One of the most dishonest agencies of the government, guys. I don't say that lightly. Okay? I don't like to condemn anyone. That's not up to me. But they don't usually tell the truth at all. It's been a long time since they've been telling all the truth all the time. They just don't do it. But here in northern Chile, we have a huge assortment of earthquakes. Huge. Huge. Okay? This is what USGS wants us to believe happened. Guess what? It's not the only one that happened. Okay? Let's look over here in the southern part of Tarapacá, Chile region. Okay? This earthquake here is a 4.2 moderate earthquake. For the south here, that was San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina, just at the border region of Chile and Argentina, in the Andes Mountains. This earthquake here, further to the south here, this also is a 4.9 5.0 large earthquake. 4.9 5.0. When I say 4.9 5.0, I say that for a reason. The agency likes to tell us these are 4.9. They don't want us to believe that there is anything wrong with that figure. However, when they downgrade the earthquakes, they downgrade them to the nearest 0.9 if they can. Sometimes even further, because they don't want anybody to know these are large earthquakes. This one was a large earthquake, possibly even up to 5.3 earthquake. Okay? This again is in the Andes Mountains, okay? At the border between Chile and Argentina. In this case, this is 56 kilometers west-southwest of Vinchina, Argentina. The border of Chile and Argentina in the Andes Mountains here. Look at this. These are only 4 earthquakes I've shown you so far in Argentina. 4 earthquakes. Well, guess what? There are a lot more earthquakes than that. A ton more earthquakes than that. Look at this. There are at least 25 earthquakes here between central Chile and northern Chile. Between Tarapacá, Atacama, Chile to the north, all the way down to Valparaiso, down in the central part of Chile. Okay? Let's go over here to Argentina to the south here. Anelo, Argentina. Here's a 2.9 earthquake. 2.9 earthquake. USGS is not even showing this earthquake here. Not at all. Let's go up the coast, off the coast. Off the coast from Chile. This is off the coast of Valparaiso, the capital of Chile. This is a 2.8 earthquake. Now, I'm not going to show every earthquake here. I'm going to show those earthquakes that you need to know about. I'm going to talk about the others. Just northeast of that Valparaiso earthquake, there's a 3.6 right here. 3.6 small quake. The 2.0s are minor earthquakes. This is a 3.6 small earthquake. Okay? Out to the east, a 3.2. Further out here, this one is actually in Argentina, still in the foothills of the Andes Mountains. This is a 3.3 earthquake here. 3.3 earthquake here. This one is San Luis, Argentina. Further out here into Argentina, in the Pampas area, the farmland area of Argentina. Valhermoso, Argentina, this is a minor 2.6 earthquake. 2.6 earthquake. Now the next earthquake is a 2.7. Guanajuato, Argentina, 2.7 earthquake. Again, this earthquake is on the border of Chile and Argentina in the Andes Mountains. What you need to know is there's also a larger earthquake than that, just barely north of there. This is near La Rioja province, Argentina. Again, at the border of Argentina and Chile, this is a large 5.0 earthquake. Large 5.0 earthquake. Going north, Flambla, Argentina, 3.0. This is just northeast of that 5.0 large quake, also in the Andes Mountains. Further over into Chile, just northwest of there, in Atacama, Chile. This is a 3.6 small earthquake. Okay, going north, there's 10 plus earthquakes here. Look at all these earthquakes here. Like I said, they're not even telling us all the earthquakes. Not showing us anything. Not showing us anything. Okay, I'm just going to pick a handful of earthquakes out of this gobbledygook. There are 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 earthquakes other than large earthquakes. 17 right here. 20 earthquakes in Chile and Argentina alone. Going north, 2.6 Antofagasta, Chile. Going to the west, 3.0 also Antofagasta, Chile. Antofagasta is a province or county in Chile. Tarapacá is also province or county of Chile. Next to 3.0. 3.90. That could be a 4.0 moderate earthquake. Okay, Antofagasta, Chile. 3.3 Tarapacá, Chile. 3.1 Tarapacá, Chile there. Okay, so folks, there's more. To the north, Chiza, Tarapacá, Chile. Chiza town, Tarapacá is the county. This is a 2.8 earthquake. Going to the north, Tumalchaca, Chile, in the top of the Andes Mountains, almost near Peru. This is a 3.1 earthquake here. 25 earthquakes in Chile and Argentina alone. That's incredible. Going into Peru, all they Ondas, Peru. 4.1 moderate earthquake here. Okay, going north into Colombia. 4 earthquakes in Colombia and 2 more in Venezuela. Going into Colombia right here, Santander, Colombia. Here's a 2.8 earthquake. Minor earthquake. The other earthquakes are this. 3.1, 2.5, and 3.6. Four in Colombia alone. 2 more in Venezuela. A 2.8 and a 2.7 right there. Venezuela. Then further over here to the east, eastern Venezuela along the coastline. Here's a 3.3. Interesting, huh? 40 plus earthquakes in South America today. USGS showed us 4. 40 earthquakes, and there are 4 earthquakes that USGS wants to see. They're not even showing all the 5.0s. They're not showing all the large earthquakes. That's what they do. They lie, they cheat, they steal. 13 earthquakes in Central America. 42 earthquakes here in southern Mexico. From down here at the border region of Guatemala, all the way up here to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. 42 earthquakes. All these earthquakes are either 3.0, 3.9, 4.0, 4.6. All throughout southern Mexico here. And they wonder why I don't adore the agency. These earthquakes here in southern Mexico go north. They follow fault lines to the north. Some of these earthquakes end up here in California. California guys. Why do you think I watch California earthquakes? Why do you think I watch California earthquakes? Now, down here in the southern part of the Baja California area, Cabo San Lucas. Cabo San Lucas, USGS is not showing anything like they normally do. They don't show anything. We've had minor earthquakes, we've had tremors, and we've had some 3.0, 3.6 earthquakes here in Cabo San Lucas. Today we had a 1.8 tremor here in Cabo San Lucas here. Okay, this is just a tremor, didn't do anything, nobody felt it. But we've been having 3.6s as well, which are small quakes, and they're not even showing them. People exist here. People live here. People vacation here in Cabo. And yet nobody tells them what's going on. Nobody talks about what's going on. Northern Mexico, northern Baja, Mexico. 1.3 tremor here. They say this is in Campo, California. Guess what? It's down here in Baja, California. Campo, California is further out here, east and north. Okay, you see Pine Valley here. Campo's over here, just south here, Pine Valley right in here. Campo, California is here, not further south. See Tecate? That's Mexico at the border. We have a Border Patrol checkpoint in Tecate. We follow this down further south, there's the earthquake. There's the earthquake. The USGS is saying this is in Campo, California. It's not. This is in Baja, California. 1.3 tremor here. San Diego County. Down here off the peninsula here, okay? Off the peninsula west of Imperial Beach, okay? This is a man-made peninsula, by the way. They wanted this because they wanted beaches. They wanted to have a harbor here. They want to be able to float boats out here and have people enjoy the harbor. So they built themselves a little peninsula here. Okay? There's a lot of Navy personnel on this peninsula. There is also a access for people that want to travel from Imperial Beach over here, travel from Imperial Beach way down here to the south, travel over here by a road over here to the peninsula. Then they follow the peninsula up here to the north, all the way to North Island Naval Air Station. North Island Naval Air Station and Coronado City. Coronado City is sitting here, Naval Station, North Island is right here. Okay? The roadway goes all the way from way down here in Imperial Beach, connects over here, still in Imperial Beach, connects with the peninsula here. A lot of these areas are just naval facilities. Naval facilities here. Okay? Naval facilities. Subbase. There's a subbase right here. I've been here to subbase. I believe they have probably 3 or 4 submarines here at any one time, servicing the submarines and getting them ready to deploy. It's wild. It's wild. Across the bay here is Naval Station San Diego. Naval Station San Diego. I used to work in this area. I've taken many prisoners here to the ships. We're docked here, moored here at Naval Station San Diego. At one time, right here, see this white rectangular kind of building there? That used to be our police station, Naval Station San Diego. They moved this station, the police station, over into downtown. Federal Police Department, downtown San Diego. But this building facing the street here was the Naval Station Police Department. Okay? Now, over here, this pier right here, okay? You see what looks to be some kind of carrier. That's a helicopter carrier there, okay? This is Pier 1. This is Naval Station Pier 1, okay? If you remember about 4 years ago, we had a shipboard fire. They had a supply ship here moored to the pier. One of the members of the ship's crew lit that ship on fire, burned for almost an entire week, till they got it under control and then doused it finally. The fire gutted the ship. We reported on it. Some of my fellow officers helped fight that fire. Naval Station has federal fire department there. Federal fire had to fight that fire, and some components of federal police were also there helping fight that fire. I reported on it on this channel. Okay. In the past years, we reported on earthquakes all over San Diego County. Off the coast of San Diego. Off the coast of San Diego, off the coast of Imperial Beach, off the coast of Peninsula here is a 0.8 microquake. A microquake. No one felt it. This was 14 miles deep. 14 miles deep. Further North County, northeast San Diego County, Julian, California. This is a 0.8 microquake. 5 kilometers, 2.5 miles east-southeast of Julian, California. About a year ago, we had a 5.1 earthquake here, a large 5.1 earthquake that we reported on. We are still seeing earthquakes in this area. Aftershocks of that 5.1 earthquake. This earthquake further south and east, also 19 miles east of Julian, California, Also a 1.0 tremor. An aftershock is at 5.1. Further north here, this is Lake Henshaw, northeast of Escondido, California. Northeast of Escondido, California. Guess what? This is actually east of Lake Henshaw. Lake Henshaw is right there. USGS says this is 8 kilometers or 4 miles southeast of Lake Henshaw. It is east of Lake Henshaw here. Again, USGS can't get the directions right. This is a 1.0 tremor here near Lake Henshaw, northeast of Escondido. Okay? Earthquakes happen here. Further out here to the east, Borrego Springs, California, part of the Anza Borrego Desert State Park in San Diego County. Part of the Anza Borrego Desert State Park in North San Diego County. 0.7 microquake here. This is a 1.4 tremor right next to it. We go north. Also part of the Anza Borrego Desert State Park. This is a 0.3 microquake. Further to the northeast, 1.0 tremor here. This is a 0.9 microquake, 1.0 tremor. Further north, Idlewild, California. 11 kilometers, about 5 miles southwest of Idlewild, California. Idlewild, California is actually in the foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains right here. Idlewild, California is a tourist trap. Right now they have skiing because there's snow there. Spring, fall, summer, they have hiking trails all over this area. They have hotel A-frame cabins you can stay in. The entire town is devoted to people that want to be there. Restaurants and small shops all over the area. You can have a grand old time in Idlewild, but they have earthquakes here. This is a 0.6 microquake. This is a 0.9 1.0 tremor near Idlewild, California. Go figure. Happens all the time. Over here in Indio, California, we continue to see small caches of earthquakes happen. Why? Because, guys, we just had a 5.0 earthquake out here in Idlewild, California, just about a week and a half ago. Large earthquake here. We are still seeing earthquakes here. This is just east of the San Andreas Fault. Just east of the San Andreas Fault here. This is a 0.7 microquake. This is a 0.9 1.0 tremor. This is a 1.3 tremor here near Indio, California. We are going to still see earthquakes here for some time. That's what happens when you have a large earthquake. It has aftershocks. Always aftershocks. Okay? Let's go over here to Los Angeles County area. Okay? This time on the San Jacinto. 1.2 tremor. Interesting. Guys, this is Loma Linda, California. Just south of Loma Linda Medical Center in Loma Linda, California. Loma Linda Medical Center is right there. This earthquake, 1.2 tremor, is just south of Loma Linda Medical Center. Okay? Further south. Again, they're not showing us all the earthquakes here in LA at all. Over 400 earthquakes a day. 400 earthquakes a day here in Los Angeles. What are they showing us? Almost nothing. Almost nothing. 3 earthquakes here. This one down here near Lake Elsinore, Orange County, California. Orange County, California. This north of Lake Elsinore. This is the 1.0 tremor here. Just south of Glen Ivy. Just south of Glen Ivy. Glen Ivy, they have seismograph there, and they show more earthquakes than even Lake Elsinore. Lake Elsinore, they hardly show anything going on at all. This is 1.0 tremor north of Lake Elsinore, California. Okay. One other earthquake here, north of Los Angeles. Bradbury, California. Bradbury, California, up here in the mountains north of LA. This is a 1.4 tremor here. 1.4 tremor up here north of Los Angeles. But again, they're not showing any of the earthquakes either. Okay? They're showing lousy 4 earthquakes here. Lousy 4 earthquakes here in the LA area. There are actually over 400 earthquakes a day. 400 earthquakes a day here in Los Angeles. Incredible. One earthquake just southeast or southwest of Malibu, California. Incredible. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. 2.0 earthquake, 26 kilometers, about 12 miles south of Malibu, California. Incredible. Incredible. Now, I told you we'd go up to the Pacific Northwest today. We're going to head there right now. We're going to head there right now. Our first stop on the way to the Pacific Northwest is over here east of San Francisco Bay. Earthquakes are continuing to hit in Ramon, California, San Ramon, California. We have a brand new earthquake here. 5 earthquakes here today. This is a 2.3 minor earthquake. 2.3 minor earthquake here in San Ramon, California. Northeast, a 2.5. Just barely to the northeast is a 2.4. Here also in San Ramon, this is a 2.7 minor earthquake. Further to the south, again in San Ramon, this is a 1.4 tremor. Earthquakes continue hitting here. I do not think that they felt any earthquakes here. These are minor earthquakes and minor tremors here. Nobody can feel the minor earthquakes 2.4, 2.6, and 2.7. They cannot feel tremors here as well. Okay? These are aftershocks of a large earthquake. Aftershocks of a 4.5, they downgrade to 4.3. Yeah. A great bunch, USGS. A great bunch, USGS. Let's go over here to the southern Cascadia region. The southern Cascadia region here. Okay? We have an earthquake here on the San Andreas Fault. This is a 1.8 tremor. 17 kilometers west of Petrolia, California. 17 kilometers west of Petrolia, California. That's about 8 miles west of Petrolia, California, off the coast on the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault starts here, starts up here, where it joins together with the Cascadia subduction zone and the Gorda Escarpment. 3 fault zones here. 3 fault zones at the triple junction. The San Andreas Fault starts here and runs all the way through California into northern Mexico, all the way down to southern Mexico. The Great San Andreas Fault. Let's go north. Yes, I'm going to show you seismographs here. I'm going to show you details of what's happened here. Not what the USGS wants to tell us about. I'm going to show you earthquakes here at the volcanoes. The USGS is lying to us. They're deleting earthquakes. They're erasing earthquakes. They're not telling the truth at all. They're trying to make it seem like nothing happens here. Let's start over here at Mount Hood. Start over here at Mount Hood. We have a microquake here. USGS is saying there's a microquake here, a 0.2 microquake. Over here, just on the south side of Mount Hood. This would be where they have the Palmer Lift, a ski resort, a ski lift, the Palmer Lift here. This is just not a 0.2 microquake. Yes, there are microquakes. Yes, there are tremors here. There are also minor earthquakes here at Mount Hood. They're telling us there's only a 0.2 microquake is false. False data. Okay? False data. We go up here to Mount Adams. Mount Adams, guys. Right down the summit of the volcano. Right down the summit of Mount Adams. They're trying to tell us we have another 0.8 microquake. Guess what, guys? Guess what? Yes, this is down from the summit of the volcano, but it's deep inside the volcano. 3 miles deep. 3 miles deep inside of Mount Adams. Rarely do they ever show us what's going on here at Mount Adams, and I'm surprised they're showing anything here. Insane. This is 1.4 near Trout Lake. Near Trout Lake on the western side in the foothills of Mount Adams. 1.4 tremor here. 23 kilometers north of Trout Lake, Washington. North of Trout Lake, west of the summit of Mount Adams. Interesting to know. Let's go straight here to Mount St. Helens. They're not showing us anything here at Mount St. Helens. That's a falsehood. That's a falsehood. We have minor earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens. We have tremors and microquakes here as well. USGS says nothing's happening. I'm going to show you plenty of activity here at Mount St. Helens. All kinds of activity. We go way out here to the west. Toledo, Ohio. They're trying to tell us there is an explosion out here near Toledo, Washington. Interesting to note. This is not an explosion. This is a 1.5 tremor here. 1.5 tremor here. 10 kilometers southeast of Toledo, Washington. Let's zoom in here. This is actually in the outside part of the forested area here. Looks like they cleared some space here. This appears to be part of a quarry here on the northwest side of the quarry. This may, in fact, be an explosion at the quarry, a quarry blast. Okay, originally it was further east. They moved this closer to the quarry, so this may in fact be a quarry blast. 1.5 quarry blast tremor. Interesting, huh? It is. Let's back out here. They're not showing anything here at all. They're showing us absolutely nothing at Mount Rainier. That's a falsehood. I'm about to show you all kinds of earthquakes at Mount Rainier. I'm going to show you earthquakes at Glacier Peak. I'm going to show you earthquakes at Mount Baker here. Right up here just south of the Canadian border. What they're saying is false information. They're trying to make everybody think, oh, nothing's going on here. That's a falsehood. That's a falsehood. There's plenty of information going on here. Plenty of earthquakes. We're going to show you what's going on here right now. Okay? Let me close out the USGS map here. Let's show you what's happening at the volcanoes now. Okay? This is Shuxon on the north side of Mount Baker. The north side of Mount Baker. Look what we have here. Harmonic tremors, guys. These are harmonic tremors here. From last night at 1700 hours, 5 p.m. last night, all the way to this afternoon. Look what happened this afternoon. The harmonic tremors stopped. We started seeing magma here. See the thicker lines here? This is magma. Magma causes earthquakes, doesn't it? Here in this area here, late morning, early this afternoon, here Mount Baker, the magma here is causing earthquakes, fracturing inside the magma chamber. Hot magma comes into the volcano here, and it comes in here under power. A lot of force. When the magma comes into the volcanic chamber, it is fracturing rock inside the volcano. That is causing earth movement, or what we call earthquakes. The thicker the lines, more earthquakes are happening, more magma is coming into the magma chamber. You see vertical lines here. Those are tremors here. We see blobs of magma. Rock fraction going on. Rock fraction going on. But there is another side that I want to show you here. At Mount Baker. This time we're going to Shuxon on the north side of Mount Baker. Let's show you what's going on here. This is a VLF wave seismograph. This is a VLF wave seismograph. Okay, these are what they call very low frequency waves caused by magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Baker. Very low frequency waves caused by magma coming into Mount Baker. When you see these wavy lines, you see magma. Where it gets to be very, very crazy waves, that means a lot of magma is coming into the magma chamber of this volcano, or any volcano. That's what we're seeing here, guys. That is exactly what we're seeing here. Let me enlarge this so you can get a good idea when this started happening. Okay? This started happening at approximately 9:30 last night. 9:30 yesterday evening. This whole magma thing, the very magma, okay, a lot of magma, major amount of magma coming into the volcano here, lasted all night long. Last all night long. Continue all day here. Look at this. All the way to this afternoon. All the way to this afternoon. This is a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Baker. Now, yesterday evening, you see a little bit of magma coming into the magma chamber here, Mount Baker. That could justify the harmonic waves, harmonic tremors. That could justify the harmonic tremors, but it's not all, folks. There's more. Actually, there isn't. The other seismic I want to show you is also at Mount Shuksan, or Mount Baker at Shuksan. But guess what? There's nothing there. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network didn't have it. Doesn't exist. Nothing happened here at Mount Baker on this other seismograph. Incredible. Incredible. Let's go over to Glacier Peak. Let's go southwest to Glacier Peak, about 40 miles southwest of Mount Baker. This is Glacier Peak. Look at this, guys. 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon at the top. Actually, the black line here is 4 p.m. The line above it is 4:15, believe it or not. Look at all the magma here. The thicker the lines, more magma coming into the magma chamber, right? That's just part of the story. As you can see, there are harmonic tremors as well. The magma coming into Glacier Peak is causing the mountain to vibrate. It's causing a volcano to vibrate. But guess what? Early this morning, that changed. Right before 6 a.m., that changed. After that, we see magma coming into the magma chamber. But this time, we see all these wavy lines here. This is not magma coming into the magma chamber, though. This is false data. False data. We don't have zigzag lines on the seismogram normally. That is an anomaly. It's false information. It's called abstract. Abstract. Garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. All day long we see vibrations. All day long we see tremor movement here. Tremor movement by the magma coming into the magma chamber here. But it doesn't show any earthquakes, does it? I believe we're still getting tremors here. I believe we're still getting tremors here at Glacier Peak. Goes without saying there are tremors and earthquakes here at Glacier Peak. Happen all the time. Let's drop down to Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier is a different animal here. It's a different animal. Over here, this is Camp Muir. The Camp Muir seismograph sits on the north side of the volcano. It's interesting to know. Apparently, there are people that don't even care about what's going on here in the Pacific Northwest. We've dropped down from 30 people watching this channel to 23. They don't care about what's going on here in the Pacific Northwest, apparently. Usually they do. Guys, look at this earthquake late last night. Just after 10:30 p.m. 10:30 p.m. over on the far left. This will be 12:40 or 9:40. 9:40 p.m. We have a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. Minor earthquake. Camp Muir on the north side of Mount Rainier. Then down here on this red line is 4:15 this morning on the left-hand side. This would be 4:19 a.m. this morning. Just a 1.8, 1.9 tremor. Go further down here. We go from early in the morning to late morning, early afternoon. Nothing here. Nothing at all, just tiny tremors here. That's interesting here at Mount Rainier. Also, it's false information. False information. There are more than 2 earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. Again, they are erasing data. They are erasing data from the seismographs. Guys, this is Emerald Ridge at Mount Rainier. This seismograph is located on the the southwest side of Mount Rainier. Emerald Ridge is over on the southwest side of Mount Rainier. Okay? This is also the VL wave seismograph. Okay? They call it the HHN channel. Very low frequency waves caused by magma coming into the volcanic chamber here at Mount Rainier. Look here. This is a lot of activity. A lot of magma still coming into Mount Rainier. Then last night, gets to be less, doesn't it? Gets to be less. Then it gets to be busy late morning, early afternoon. Look at that. Gets to be very busy. And we have an earthquake here. We have an earthquake. Yes, occasionally they will show us earthquakes on the VF wave channel, HHN channel. This shows us tremors. It's also showing us 2.09 earthquakes here. 2.09 earthquakes lasting 2 minutes. 2 minutes here late this morning. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. Let me pull this down. Let me show you another one here at Mount Rainier. This is the HHZ channel at Mount Rainier, Emerald Ridge. Here you're seeing tremors here. These vertical lines are tremors here. Tiny tremors. We scroll down here. Look at this. This is the same location we had with the Emerald Ridge HHN channel. Yes, we see some tremors. We see some 2.0 earthquakes. This bigger earthquake here is a 2.5, 2.6 earthquake, minor earthquake. Nobody felt this earthquake either. Now this is a far cry from what the USGS would have us believe. I showed you the USGS map here at Mount Rainier earlier. They didn't show anything going on at all. Nothing. Again, the United States Geological Survey isn't even showing this on the map. They and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network like to delete information. But sometimes they leave information like this up so we can show what they are not showing. We can make them out to be liars. I say that's a bad word. That's a bad word. It's a 4-letter word. But it is uniquely the truth. It is uniquely the truth. Let's go down to Mount Hood, Timberline. This Timberline, guys, this is the southern lower side of Mount Hood. The southern lower side of Mount Hood. This seismograph exists at Government Camp. Government Camp is kind of a museum where they put up evidence of earthquakes here at Mount Hood. Okay? The seismograph here is locating or finding earthquakes here. Last night, late afternoon, yesterday evening, we have some tremors here. You also see these thicker lines. These are called magma pulse signals. Thicker lines turning into thinner lines, magma pulse signals. The thinner lines, less magma. thicker lines, more magma here at Mount Hood. Then we have earthquakes here. This earthquake happened here on the black line here after 7 p.m. 7 p.m. over on the far left side, this would be 7:07, 7:08 p.m. last night. 2.0 earthquakes here. Maybe 2.2 first, and the other one is 2.0. Minor earthquakes here. We see all kinds of tremors here. Tremors because the magma is coming into the magma chamber of Mount Hood, fracturing the rock inside the magma chamber, causing earth movement, or what we call earthquakes. That's what's happening here at Mount Hood. Okay? Basically, all we have here at Mount Hood are tremors and minor earthquakes. Down here, right before I pulled this seismogram, we have a 1.9, 2.0 earthquake here on the bottom black line, just after 3 p.m. Incredible. All these times are Pacific times. All the times you see here are Pacific times. Pacific Standard Time. Okay? That's timberline. Now, I actually forgot to show you a seismogram from Mount St. Helens. This is from Studebaker Ridge, which is actually a volcano of its own north of Mount St. Helens. So there's a huge volcanic field north of Mount St. Helens called Studebaker Ridge. This was actually a volcano of its own. Over the years, either the crater or the cone were run down by water, either the ocean or weathering wore the cone or crater down. Now it's just a volcanic field. Andesite lava. Andesite lava. Here on this seismogram, you see tremors and minor earthquakes here. Tremors and minor earthquakes right off the bat. 4:15 last night on the top red line here. You see earthquakes. Why? Because we have a lot of magma going into the magma chamber here at Studebaker Ridge. The thicker the lines, more magma coming into the volcano here. You see 2.0s. Over here towards about 4:23 p.m. Over here near the center, left center here, 2.4, 2.5 earthquakes here. Minor earthquakes caused by magma coming into the magma chamber. Then for a period of time, we have less magma. And there you see tremors here. The magma is still fracturing rock inside the volcanic chamber, causing tremors this time. Tremors, earth movement. Now from 4 o'clock on until about 9 p.m., you see just these minor magma movements, magma pulse signals here. Then after 9 p.m., 2100 hours, the magma increases into the magma chamber here, causing more rock fracturing. As a result, we increase the number of earthquakes, not just the number, but the size of the earthquakes as well. From tremors to minor earthquakes again. 2.2 to 2.3 earthquakes here. That continues over after say 10:15 on the red line. Okay, magma pulse increases here. Magma increases here. Then it gets to be a lot less and you see more tremors here. Then throughout the night into this afternoon, less and less magma, less and less tremors as well. Then late this morning, after 11:30 this morning, We have a little bit more magma, and then we see some vertical lines again. Tiny tremors this time. 1.2, 1.3 tremors here after 11:30 this morning. Okay. Again, this is just north of Mount St. Helens at Studebaker Ridge, a volcano of and of itself. Okay. Now I want to go further south. I want to show you more volcanic action. What's happening here? Okay. Let's go further south to Newberry Volcano. I tried to doing Moon, or what they used to call Bachelor. Now they renamed it Moon, but the seismograph was all screwed up, so it's not putting out decent information. So let's go to Newberry Volcano. Look what's happening here. We have these waves here. Okay. This is the HHN channel of Newberry Volcano. Okay. This is Sichel. This is Sichel. This is a cinder cone at Newberry Volcano. Look here, you see magma coming into the magma chamber here. The way bigger the lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber here. Look at that. Look what happened early this morning and late this morning here. Look at this. All kinds of magma coming into Newberry Volcano. That's insane, isn't it? It certainly is. Okay. Let's look at the VLF wave channel here again. That was cinder cone. Look at this. This is the NCO channel. Okay. This is a slightly different place at Newberry Volcano. Here we're seeing less magma here, but what we're seeing here is also, you see some tremors here. You see some tremors here. These wavy lines here are not indicative of these VLF waves. They're not indicative of the VLF waves that are normally present. Why am I showing you this? We have an earthquake here. We have a minor earthquake here. This minor earthquake happened after 10 a.m. this morning. 10:13 a.m. this morning. We have a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. 10:13 a.m. this morning, we have a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here, Newberry Volcano. Unreal, huh? It really is. But it's not the only one here. Let me show you another volcano here. This time I'm going down to Sister Volcano here. No, I'm not. Well, dad frickin' gummit. Why did they not let me have Sister's Volcano here? Let me go over here and check something here, okay? I'm not going to let them get away with this. There was a seismogram here at Sister's Volcano here. Oh, I'll be darned. They've erased it. They have actually erased the seismogram from Sister Volcano. Let me try again. Now they're saying no volcano, no stations found. That's why I don't show it on my database. They erased it. They erased the volcano off their feed. That's insane. That is literally insane. That's the first time I've seen the PNSN erase the volcano off their feed. Not just a seismogram, they erased the volcano off of their feed. That's insane. Guys, I guess we're going to have to go to Crater Lake. That will be my final volcano here in this series here tonight. Crater Lake. This is the bunkhouse. The HHN channel or BHN channel here at the bunkhouse. This is the south central part of Crater Lake. This is the only seismograph that's available. The only seismograph that's really available. They shut down Cleetwood Cove on the northeast side of Crater Lake. Shut that down last summer. Then early last fall, they shut the seismograph off at Mount Scott, which is on the southeastern side of Crater Lake. Occasionally, all we have to see is Crater Lake Bunkhouse. This is the BHN channel at Crater Lake Bunkhouse. Look what we're showing you here. Active magma coming into Crater Lake. Active magma coming into Crater Lake, guys. Incredible. Then early this morning, it got even busier. Look at that. All morning long. All morning long into this afternoon, it got even busier. Crater Lake is an active volcano. At the top of Crater Lake, there is a lake, an alpine lake, an alpine cold lake, okay? But as you can see, there's plenty of magma coming into the volcano here. Why is that important? At some point in time here, there will be a volcanic eruption here. Some point in time, there will be a volcanic eruption here. And when that happens, that hot lava is going to hit that cold water. That hot lava is going to hit that cold water, and guess what's going to happen? There is going to be a catastrophic eruption. Hot lava doesn't like cold water, and cold water doesn't like hot lava. There's going to be a huge explosion here. Huge explosion. Now, I want to show you something else here. I want to show you something else here. When that explosion happens, it's going to be insane. It's going to be much insane. There are people living around the volcano, not close, but living in cabins around the forest area around Crater Lake. When that happens, huge explosion. Crater Lake last eruption was thousands of years ago. Crater Lake is sitting at the top of the volcano, the top of the caldera of the volcano. A huge lava rock is the caldera. The lake water is above the volcano, isn't it? Above the caldera. It started off with groundwater. Then it rained. And more rain and snow keep happening. Now there's a huge lake there. Over thousands of years, there's a huge lake. What's holding it in? Walls of the volcano are holding it in. The top walls of the volcano are holding it in. It's the cone, the crater cone of the volcano holding the water in. When this volcano erupts again, now I don't believe it's going to erupt anytime soon. There's no indication of that at all. But when this volcano does erupt, any small part of that lava hitting that cold water will cause a catastrophic explosion. Cause a catastrophic explosion. You'll blow that volcano to pieces. It'll blow that volcano to pieces. Okay? That is what's going to happen with these lakes at the top of the volcanoes. Going to blow it to pieces. Okay? It's happened. It has happened. Do we have any questions about the volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest? I want to show it to you yesterday, but they didn't want us to show it. What I've usually done is take pictures of the seismograms, but that wasn't sufficient this time. They stopped me from doing it. So I took screenshots anyway. So I was able to show you the activity at the volcanoes. Now, I did not pick up Mount Shasta to the south in Northern California, nor did I pick up Mount Lassen. I'll do that next week. Mount Lassen is the only volcano that's showing any signs of a possible future eruption. It's the only volcano showing signs of a possible eruption in the near future. Next week, I'll show you Shasta and Lassen as well. I want to continue this conversation tonight. Okay? It's important. It's very important. I want to talk about emergency preparedness tonight. Building a culture of preparedness. FEMA is what they call a strategic plan, a strategy plan. We've been talking about emergency preparedness plans on the channel for years, 6.5 going on 7 years now. FEMA put forth their strategic plan back about 2012. They published it. Homeland Security Committee published it. Their first strategic goal read, building a culture of preparedness. Seeing this, it intrigued me. So I went on an investigation of my own since then. As most people in the preparedness communities, they have plans. They have plans, they have working plans. Since I have worked around FEMA people, I have told about plans here on this channel. I worked through FEMA's plans. FEMA's plans are somewhat inadequate. They don't go far enough. I have been skeptical of FEMA for some time now. But building a culture of preparedness is not an option. It's not just an option, it's a necessity. But building a culture of preparedness does not sound like FEMA at all. They don't even know about preparedness at all. They talk a great talk, but they don't walk the talk or walk the walk. Naturally, I need to read their full plan to understand what their culture of preparedness will be defined as. What I discovered what very much disappointed me, even though there were many sections worthy of merit. More on that in just a minute. But before we go in depth of this strategic plan, I want to take a step back. I realize that the administrations like FEMA are required to submit plans to Congress on a regular basis. But I think it's more important to note that while we are discussing a vision for the future, many people are still suffering from years after disasters. Many people throughout the United States and around the world are suffering from years after a disaster. Whether it be a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, people are still suffering because the agencies of the governments did not have plans, and neither did the people. That's why we talk about emergency plans on this channel. Okay? Last year we saw many disasters: hurricane, earthquake, tornado, and fire related. Flood related as well. Okay? More and more news of FEMA failures have happened and come forward after these disasters have happened. We see a lot of FEMA failures. Now, many years ago, we had a hurricane hit Puerto Rico, didn't we? Puerto Rico is struggling. Puerto Rico is a subset of the state of USA. It's a territory of the U.S. People in Puerto Rico are poor for the most part. Yes, there are richer areas of Puerto Rico and there are poor areas of Puerto Rico. But that hurricane knocked out the power. It knocked out the food lines to bring people the food from the mainland United States around the world. The government is reporting only 99% of Puerto Ricans have running water. 99% of Puerto Ricans have running water. 93% of Puerto Ricans have power. Isn't that crazy? This is the territory of the United States, and only 99% have running water. 93% have power. These statistics certainly appease those who just want a high number, but they do not represent the reality that we see on the island. As I've said in past episodes of this program, I have a friend of mine over on the island. His name is Dominic. He's the captain of the Puerto Rican Police Department. He's been telling me what's been going on. He pointed out that while some tourist areas have recovered on Puerto Rico, others that rely on tourism don't have as good. They continue to suffer. After the hurricane, they went 6 months without power and running water. 6 months without power and running water is a reality we all need to think about, given FEMA's continued failures, not just in Puerto Rico, but around the United States as well, or failures of other governments around the world. Now, we certainly hope that the worst case scenario never happens, but we've seen worst case scenarios happen. We know that it can happen. So we must prepare for the worst case scenario. For now, hurricane season is over until about May of this year. End of April, first part of May, hurricane season starts again. Tornado season even starts earlier than that, while there's still snow on the ground. The weather in South Texas, Oklahoma, and other places has been hot enough to generate severe storms like tornadoes in late March, early April. Yet many residents and business owners are aware of the stark reality that it could be years until they are fully recovered from the disasters they've already faced this past year. Tornadoes have devastated areas and entire cities here in the United States. Tornadoes around the world, hurricanes around the world, and earthquakes around the world have happened. Those regions have been devastated. A lot of these people in these regions are hoping that the upcoming hurricane and tornado seasons aren't going to be as bad. They also hope that the previous hurricanes don't last that long in the disaster recovery phase, that the incoming hurricanes are not going to hurt as bad. Yeah. It's a stark reality. The previous disasters will have an effect on the communities that we're trying to recover from the previous disaster. Okay? From Arizona Central, division of USA Today. They reported in February last year that Arizona firefighters spent most of the time during Hurricane Harvey and other hurricanes since, traveling and staging, not searching and rescuing. The rescuers, firefighters, and paramedics, search and rescue teams were doing more traveling and staging than searching and rescuing. We saw that last year in Central Texas. Yes, some of them finally arrived in Central Texas after the flood. This story happened virtually everywhere where a disaster struck. The result is nearly $100 million in wasted resources. Nearly $100 million in wasted resources. Now, I'm just talking about just a few glimpses and the devastation that many people are still dealing with. Weather forecasters are predicting a near normal to slightly above normal hurricane season this next year. They are predicting 6 to 8 hurricanes, 3 to 5 major hurricanes, and 3 to 4 named storms that make landfall. 6 to 8 hurricanes. Of those, 3 to 5 major hurricanes, 3 to 4 named storms that make landfall here in the United States. This is about the same prediction as last year, with slightly different conditions that make tropical storm development increase. Slightly different conditions make these storms likely to increase. But right now, we're still in the winter season. These predictions are not much of value to us right now, but they're evidence. They're definitely evidence of the value of preparedness. So we need to develop a culture of preparedness of our own. Not just what FEMA wants to do. We ourselves in our own communities. We need to develop a culture of preparedness. We need to start preparing right now. Don't delay. Start even a small part of preparedness in your own family today. Don't delay, because delaying might put you in a predicament, or when something does happen, you are in worse shape than you ever were. I hope that won't happen. I hope what we're saying right now will stop some of that from happening. We do not have a true culture of preparedness in this country or anywhere else in the world. Our citizens are not prepared. We all have to realistically design approaches to become financially ready ourselves. Financially ready, so we can get those things we need to do to survive what's going to happen. So we can be prepared. We have got to teach people tangible skills like CPR and first aid. We need to go back to what I saw when I was a child back in my early youth, to the old civil defense days of being ready. Some of us here remember those civil defense days of our youth. Maybe we need to go back there and relearn those things. Okay? This certainly whets my appetite to read the entire report from FEMA. Financial readiness, just not on the part of the government, but on our part, each of our parts. Individually and as families, we need to be financially ready for anything that can happen. We need to buy those things that are necessary to get us through any kind of emergency or disaster. Tangible skills like CPR are first. First aid is second. Civil defense wise, there are a wide range of topics, but they're not the first things that need to come to mind when I think of preparedness. We are not ready for low to no notice big events. We are not ready for low to no notice events. Okay? Usually before a hurricane strikes, we know it's going to happen. But even if we have a tornado, that is a low notice event. We might only have hours, if not minutes, before that event would happen. We need to be prepared. We need to be thinking that it's going to happen. We need to have the available resources in our home to get through that situation. We need to have developed the resources necessary in our own homes to be able to get through a tornado when it happens. We need to prepare. We have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. How many times have I said that? I have said that because it is absolutely the truth. We need to remember that. Now, besides that, let's dive into FEMA's strategic plan to get ideas what we need to have with our own strategic emergency preparedness plan. Okay? Early on. I noticed early on, years ago, that we needed a culture of preparedness in ourselves. We need to develop a culture of preparedness in ourselves, in our families. Without developing that, we have nothing. A culture of preparedness should be a national effort. Our governments, our state, city, and federal governments need to be talking about it on a regular basis, which they are not. Yes, we have rioters. We have protesters committing whoredoms out on the streets. We need to be ready for that as well. We need to be ready for the worst disasters at the federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial levels, community, family, and individual levels. Okay? We need to be ready on all levels of our society. There must needs be correlation. There must needs be correlation. Why am I saying correlation? Because we need ourselves go back to our cities and communities. Talk to people in our communities about preparedness. Find out what they have already done as a community. Not necessarily as individuals, that is good as well. We need to find out what our cities and communities have already done preparedness-wise. Then we need to double the effort. As individuals and families, we need to double that effort. On all levels of our community, all levels of our society, we must coordinate on all levels. We need to coordinate on all levels so we can know what's already been done and then do something extra on top of that. So we ourselves and our families have something on top of what the community can do. Our communities, our towns, our cities, our states can't possibly do everything. They don't have the resources. It's up to us. It's up to you and I. What are the particular elements of building a culture of preparedness? Let me summarize this. We need funding preparedness, we need to fund pre-disaster mitigation efforts. Pre-disaster mitigation efforts. That's number one. We need to make sure our cities are aware of incidents can happen in our cities. Then we need to prepare. Prepare for disaster mitigation. How they're going to handle disasters in their areas, in their cities, and the states. We also need our cities and states to update their building codes. Update building codes. Maybe we need to be writing this down and take them to our cities and planners. Write this stuff down, take it to our cities and our planners and our cities and states. Update building codes. with an eye toward disaster resilience. Close the insurance gap, encouraging all hazard and flood insurance coverage where there isn't that now. Insurance companies don't adequately prepare for hazards or flood insurance at all. In many areas, you can't get flood insurance at all. You have to apply to the federal government to get flood insurance because other companies don't have it. They don't offer it, never will. Then we need to start helping each other. Help people around us, help our neighbors, help our friends, help our family to prepare for disasters. Help each other on an individual level. We need to better learn from past disasters as well. That's why we talk about emergencies and disasters on this channel. We need to learn from past disasters so we don't repeat what we've done in the past. What we've done in the past does not adequately give us room to move or grow or get through a disaster that happens to us. Now, why did I individually name things we need to do? I've learned from past disasters. I've learned from past emergencies that I've seen. Why have I spent this time talking about it? Because I want all of you to also recognize it. I want you all to also learn so that you and your family, your cities, your towns, your states can learn and grow and develop a sense of preparedness on your own and on their own as well. We need to develop a culture of preparedness. I was truly disappointed in what I found in the federal government. I was even more disappointed in what I found on the city and town level where I've lived. Where I live here in Morganton, North Carolina. They do a good job when it comes to snow and recovery from floods and rain. But have they done much on tornadoes? Very little. Yet tornadoes go right through Burke County on a regular basis every year. 2 to 3 tornadoes go through Burke County on a yearly basis. What did we see 2 years ago? What did we see happen here in Burke County 2 years ago through North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida 2 years ago? 2 hurricanes. 2 hurricanes, guys. This is why I'm talking about specifics. That's why I'm talking about my own county. I had to help my emergency manager here in Burke County a year and a half ago because they had never dealt with hurricanes going through North Carolina. Because I live here in Burke County, North Carolina is better prepared right now to go through another hurricane than they were before that. Hopefully, all of North Carolina has learned a thing or three. Yeah, I'm poking a little bit of fun here. I hope the entire state has learned from what I've been talking about. I sat through many meetings of town councils, town and city councils explaining disaster preparedness. That should have been the emergency manager's position. But unfortunately, the emergency manager doesn't do their jobs. As I said back in 2014, FEMA asked emergency managers throughout this country, how many emergency managers had a preparedness kit? A preparedness kit, a 72-hour kit. Several weeks went by. Did you know, and I've told you this before, 25% of emergency managers across this country had an emergency preparedness kit, let alone a 72-hour kit. Yet FEMA was telling everybody, FEMA was telling every emergency manager to get the word out, to every family, every person to have a 72-hour kit. Yet only 25% of emergency managers had 72-hour kits. 25%, 1/4. That's why citizens throughout this country and around the world do not have a culture of preparedness. They're not taught it, they're not shown it at all. It's up to each one of us to have it and spread the word righteously in real time. We need to spread the word of preparedness all over the place. To everybody we know. To everybody we know. Many people will experience a disaster or an emergency at some point in their life. And they're going to find that they themselves are the true first responder. Again, most people are going to find out sometime in their life that they will go through a disaster or an emergency. And they themselves are going to find out that they themselves are their first responder. Because first responders, paramedics, fire, and police won't be able to respond to you. Because there's either too many ruins in the way of getting to you, or too many other people need their resources and they won't get to you in time. That means each one of us must think ahead and prepare ourselves. We know that when a crisis occurs, we must help ourselves. Then there's another good point here. The federal agency, FEMA, charged with disaster preparedness. FEMA commands both significant resources and influence that can help people improve on how they prepare for disasters. But the problem is they don't do the job. FEMA doesn't do the job. They walk a great talk, but they don't walk the walk. FEMA directly helps only a small number of incidents. FEMA only directly helps only a small number of incidents. Those people that receive a presidential declaration of emergency. They only help those people that receive a presidential declaration of emergency. That's it. So guys, it's time that each one of us rethink our national approach to preparedness. All of us must rethink our national approach to preparedness, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. No government does it the way the U.S. does, and our governments here in the United States do very poorly. We must ensure that every segment of our diverse communities are preparing, down to every individual. This must be integrated into a broader culture of preparedness. We need to reach out. We need to reach out and force our communities to do better. Talk to your emergency managers. Help them. They will be glad to get help. They do not have the resources to do the job. That is why it's so important for EMA to get out this message. That's why it's so important for each one of us to get out the preparedness message. We must do it. Us, you and I. Now, I think if FEMA were unshackled from executive declarations, meaning what they call the Stanford Act. If you've never heard of the Stanford Act, look it up. It's all over the internet. If we get out of the executive declaration, period, look to the Stanford Act, that might help. But how much, I'm not sure. But anything would be better than where we're at. Anything would be better than how everything's deployed now. The truly disappointing part here As helping people prepare is that it did not do much about talking about encouraging people to prepare. They only want to help when it's necessary. But we need to be encouraging people to prepare over the long haul. We need to be encouraging people to stock up on supplies. FEMA has a 37-page document about preparedness, but it only mentions the word food 4 times. It only mentions the word food 4 times. It mentions water twice. It mentions water twice. Each of those times, it discusses FEMA or FEMA coordinated relief groups delivering those provisions. Incredible. The word food is mentioned 4 times, the word water is mentioned twice. Yet those are the very things that people need to survive. Yes, they need a roof over their head. They need shelters. But they also need food and water before that. Yet FEMA hardly even talks about it. This includes a particular focus on the last mile, where a complex network of national, local, and voluntary and commercial organizations integrate their capabilities to put food and water or other items in the hands of survivors. Integrating their capabilities to put food, water, and other items in the hands of survivors. Yeah. What happened during Hurricane Katrina? I've talked about this in previous programs. What happened in Hurricane Katrina in 2005? What happened? Before FEMA even got there. Before George Bush and FEMA even got there. Who arrived? 2 semi-truckloads from Catholic dioceses. 4 semi-truckloads of emergency supplies from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. Those churches were the only groups to put food, water, and other items in the hands of survivors after Hurricane Katrina. I saw it, I was there. In a lot of ways, helping people prepare in FEMA eyes is reducing the bureaucracy that gets in the way of immediate relief efforts. Yeah. FEMA does nothing but reduce the bureaucracy that is in the way of immediate efforts to relieve people at the scene of disasters. That's not a good goal. That's not a good goal at all. It does help to get people prepared. But what FEMA is doing does not help people get prepared at all. It gets in the way. But hopefully FEMA will have less time before they arrive. Hopefully FEMA arrives in better time than they have. Less time to FEMA and state and local agencies today is for people to wait a little longer. People having to wait a little longer than even 3 days. That's why FEMA originally said you need to have a 3-day preparedness kit, 72-hour preparedness kit. Now FEMA waits a lot longer than that, meaning each one of us need to take the bull by the horns in our own families to prepare ourselves, because the agencies aren't going to do it. Our local agencies aren't going to do it. Our police, fire, paramedics aren't going to do it either. Like I said, they're either going to be tied up with relief efforts outside of where we are at, or the disaster will be such that they won't be able to get to us because they can't. Right now, FEMA's telling people they may have to be on their own up to 3 weeks or more before help will arrive. Yeah, that's what FEMA's telling you. There's going to be 3 weeks or more before we're able to get to you. What happened to Milton? Hurricane Milton came through North Carolina. What happened? It was just not 3 weeks, it was months. President Trump himself came through before he was president again. He delivered money and supplies to people here in North and South Carolina before FEMA even got here, because the president of the United States was half blind himself. Fact. That's a fact. We need to be helping people prepare. It goes more than just a strategic plan by FEMA. We need to ignore FEMA. We need to prepare on our own. We need to get our cities, our towns, and our states and local communities to prepare on our own, because our government's not going to do it. Our government's not going to do it at all. 40% of Americans do not have enough cash savings to cover a sudden and unexpected expense. I don't. I should, but I don't. I'm trying. I can just barely cover bills sometimes. 40% of Americans do not have enough cash savings to even cover a sudden and unexpected emergency. Under such circumstances, relocating to a hotel for days is not going to happen. Purchasing cleaning supplies or replacing food and medications may be out of reach for most people in the absence of external assistance. Forcing individuals and families to take on debts themselves, take on debt loads that have proven disastrous in their own right. In a 2015 study 10 years ago by FEMA, 39% of Americans have no emergency preparedness plan at all. 39% of Americans don't have an emergency preparedness plan at all. Yes, I believe in financial preparedness. An unexpected disaster turning into a personal financial disaster is not desirable, never desirable, but it happens, unfortunately. This has and is continuing to happen in our society today. But saving lives is still important. Saving lives is still more important. Food, water, supplies, and a place to stay. Food, water, and supplies and a place to stay should take precedence over saving cash for a rainy day. I would love to see FEMA correct its strategic plan to increase the percentage of people who have adequate survival supplies as a performance goal, alongside their increase in the percentage of people with savings set aside for an emergency. That's a lofty goal, but it hasn't happened so far. Another thing I believe FEMA and all of us should do is to help build a broader culture of preparedness, as we've talked about, to increase the guidelines for the amount of survival supplies for sheltering in place. Increase the guidelines for the amount of survival supplies for sheltering in place. The current guidelines is recommended 72 hours. FEMA's talking 3 or more weeks. The Red Cross itself recommends 2 weeks of supplies. Most people don't even have that. I'm recommending for everyone to have at least 1 month's supply per person. Have 1 month's supply of food and water per person. Anybody listening and watching our program should have a 1 month supply of food and water and medical supplies per person. Virtually anything is better than just 3 days. We've seen torrential rainstorms this past year, lasted for 3 days or longer, with flooding devastating towns and cities all across our country and around the world. Your emergency supplies need to outlast both the devastation and the aftermath of the earthquake. or the flood or the rainstorm or the tornado or the hurricane or the fire. While I could make recommendations for FEMA all day long, their decisions are way beyond my control. I am trying to make decisions for all of us. I'm trying to make recommendations for all of us. That's what's important right now. Ultimately, the building of the business of a culture of preparedness is in our hands, in our own hands. We need to build the business of culture of preparedness. The culture of preparedness is in our own hands. I want the term family preparedness. Family preparedness is better than culture. It sounds even better. It's academic to me. Our family is more academic than culture. It's up to us as a family to prepare for emergencies. No one can do it for us. The government certainly can't do it. They never do. We have to do for ourselves. We have to do for ourselves, guys. That's where this is at. Does anybody have any questions for me? I've talked about this before. I'm talking about it again. I will be revising my talk in the near future. I will be talking about this in the near future again. It's important. It's vitally important for our safety and our own survival. To our own survival as a family and individuals. We need to do this. My buddy Don Patoki just put this in chat. I'm going to repeat this. For every pound of knowledge, it takes 2 pounds of more or more of common sense to make it work. Be proactive. Plan, prepare, practice, prevail, and protect. Be proactive. Plan, prepare, practice, prevail, and protect. Remember those words. Write it down. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. That's the worst case scenario, preparing to fail. I don't want anybody to fail because I don't want to lose any one of you. You folks are my family. You guys are just more than just friends. You are my family. I love and appreciate each one of you. That's why I prepare these talks. That's why I do these programs, to help each one of us prepare. That's what I do for each one of us. We all need to prepare right now. It's up to us. It's up to each one of us. Does anybody have any questions for me? After I give these presentations, I'd like to ask, does anybody have any questions of me? I want to help you. I want to help you. I want to make sure our families are taken care of. That's my primary focus. I ask my wife every day, several times a day, how can I help you? What can we do to help each other? What can we do to help our families? What can we do? We need to be prepared. In closing this program today, I've gone to 1 Timothy chapter 2. In verse 8, the Apostle Paul is talking to Timothy's brother and talking to all of us. I will therefore that man pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. We need to pray. We need to get in better position with Christ. We need to know Christ. We need to live Christ in our lives. We need to become more like Jesus Christ, helping our families, helping each other, and helping ourselves. Ask how you can prepare yourself. Pray. Ask God how He would have you prepare, and maybe He will reveal it to you. Each one of us can receive personal revelation from God. Each one of us can receive personal revelation from God. I certainly do every day. Linda Compton just came up in the chat saying she just got 2 inches of new fluffy snow. It's coming. It's coming. May even hit here in the next day or so. May God bless each one of us. We can prepare for what's happening, because these disasters and emergencies are going to happen anyway. It's lucky we didn't see this train do where it went near a town. It could have been a lot worse. People only asked to shelter in place in case one of those tankers leaked. So far, the only one that leaked had grease in it. They got lucky. May God bless each one of us to prepare and help take care of our families. That's what's important, guys. Pray to God and receive help and revelation from Him to help take care of your family. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. May He bless you until we meet again. Tomorrow is Saturday. Unless something big happens, we'll be off the air tomorrow because I want to take a day with my family. If something happens, I will be back on there to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Tonight, tomorrow, any day. On Sunday, we take the day off except to teach a Sunday school class called Come Follow Me, the Savior said. I would ask each one of you to be there. I'd love to see each one of you there for our Sunday school class. We're going to be talking about Genesis chapter 6, 7, and 8. Chapter 6, 7, 8 in Genesis tomorrow or Sunday. God bless you. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a good night, everybody. Much love. I love you very much. See you soon. We love you very much. Carol and I both. See you soon. Good night.
Here at Emergency Management Associates, we're dedicated and true. Bringing you the essential knowledge, helping you see things through. From disaster preparedness to navigating recovery's embrace, we're here to guide you in every unpredictable time and place. We break down the complex, make it easy to grasp and absorb, sharing strategies for safety, the vital lessons you can't afford to hoard. So thank you for watching, and thank you so much for your sub. You're a key part of our growing family, a member of our knowledge club. With every like, every share, and every comment you send our way, our critical message spreads further, helping more people every single day. Together we're stronger and more prepared. That's the truth we all abide. You help us build resilience with nowhere for uncertainty to hide. Your engagement truly inspires us. Your feedback acts as a guiding light, helping us continually grow and making our channel's future bright. We're always learning, always striving to be better, bring you the most up-to-date information, no matter the weather. Emergency Management Associates is here for you now and forever, it's true. Keep watching, keep learning, because we truly appreciate all that you do. Thank you.